Right, back on the electric power steering install in the 48. I've managed to find me a bolt that's just barely long enough. Hopefully it'll work. And I've already made me some plates here to go on the bottom side of the floorboard. And what I will do, I only have one bolt. I'm going to have to go bolt shopping tomorrow. But what I'm going to do is I will put the bolts through the plate, all four. Then I'm going to tack weld the heads to the plate. So then effectively the plate will have a stud sticking out the bottom. Then I can put the plate through the floor, the holes in the floorboard, and then go on the bottom side and put these plates on the bottom side and bolt them in. Make it a lot easier for one guy to do. And when I drilled these plates, I actually drilled them all together. I sandwiched them together, vice gripped them together so that the holes will line up perfectly. So I shouldn't have any trouble putting this down, putting bolts through, spot welding them, and I should be able to mount this through into the floorboard. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and I'm going to get my electric steering box out of the way because I know where this needs to be. Up under here, like so, and like so. And that will then I can get the holes drilled through the floor and have that all ready. And then I can start making the plate to go on the bottom of the steering column. I can't do that just quite yet because I've got to cut my column and shaft where I need it. So I will get the plate made to go down there, and that'll take a little bit of doing because I have to drill a round hole through the middle, get the 3 bolt holes. That's another thing I need to get bolts for. I don't have bolts for those 3 deals down there. I have to pick those up tomorrow while I'm shopping. But yeah, moving along here. My goal, hopefully, in this video is to get this part all bolted to the floor, get the electric power steering bolted to the bracket, and maybe get my steering column kind of cut to length. I've got some bearings coming, probably be here tomorrow, to put in the end of the shaft since I mutilated the bearing that came out of there. And I haven't ordered my steering shaft U-joints yet because I'm going to need one here. And then the shaft's going to have to angle and go that way to another U-joint that will be on the bottom of that electric power steering unit. So I need at least 2 for there. And then I haven't quite decided what I'm going to do because I have to connect the shaft that comes out the top side of that power steering unit to the shaft here. I don't really need a U-joint there because that's going to be a straight shaft. But I need to figure out something to connect those 2 shafts. I'll probably try and look at something at the goodie store tomorrow. Maybe I can rig something up for that too. But for now, I'm going to continue getting things rigged up, get my holes drilled in the floor for that. Maybe do a little test fitting. We'll get back with you and see how things are going. Okay, I made me a template for the flange that I need to go on top of that motor assembly. And I have traced it out onto a piece of 3/16 inch steel. And then when I get that all done, this is actually a piece of the steering column that I cut out. The whole column will get welded. That flange will go on around the column, and then I will weld the column to that flange, and then that whole assembly will bolt to that, and then the column will be bolted to the underside of the dash. So that should be sturdy, along with the bolt that goes through the bracket on the floor. And that should not go anywhere, I do not believe. So I'm going to take my little crude pattern here, go over to the plasma torch, do a little whack-a-doing, and let's see what I can get done. Alright, the last I had left off, I had made a pattern to go make a collar to fit over on the electric power steering assembly for the steering column to weld to. And I was going to go over to the plasma torch and cut it out. Yeah, that didn't happen. What I did do was I got me a hole saw that a size I needed, and I drilled the hole out in the middle, kind of cut shape I wanted, which, yeah, I know it's not symmetrical, but it's okay. So this will fit over the steering column, because this is a chunk of the steering column, and then it will go down on there and bolt on, and I'm going to weld the steering column to this collar. So then that will be, the steering column will be tight to the motor will be bolted into the floor, and then the steering column will be bolted to the dash. So that whole assembly mechanism should be nice and sturdy. I did manage to get my mounting plate in the floor. I got out here in the light. I got my bolts all put in, tack welded on top. So now all I got to do is put it in the holes from inside, like so, and then I can by myself put my plates. I got 2 plates on either side, for either side. I can bolt them on, not have to have somebody help me. That should take care of getting that mounted. Let's see, what else have I got going on? I've got bearings that hopefully will be here today. And I've been working on trying to figure out how I'm going to connect this shaft to the steering column shaft. I got these steel bushings, 3/4 inch inside diameter. I'm thinking, not sure, welding these two together so I can have a long sleeve. Slide that on here, weld one end on this shaft, and then the other half of that will go on the steering column shaft, and like so. And I will drill a hole all the way through and put a bolt, or because I don't want to weld that completely. I don't think I might. I don't know. I'm still thinking. I'm not 100% sure what I want to do there yet. My problem's been finding something to match up to these splines. I haven't been able to find anything to match up to those splines yet. You can buy the whole steering column assembly that comes with the upper shaft, the lower shaft, but you're going to pay more money. I paid $75 for this motor assembly the way it is. No wire connectors or anything, so I do have a couple of wire connectors that I'm going to wire in. One of these is a positive, one's a negative. That's your power feed. And then there's a bunch of pins in here that's supposed to collect all your car's information. I don't have that, but there is a guy that makes assembly that'll click in there with some wires and a whole, it's a whole deal. Anyway, I've got that coming. It hadn't here yet. So anyway, I'm making progress slowly but surely. I think I can mount the bracket on the floor, and then I can mount that assembly to the floor temporarily, and then I can get my steering column shaft length Because what I will do is these marks right here are from where it was clamped in the dash. So with that new assembly mounted where it's going to be, there's no moving it after that, then I can measure and see how much I need to cut off this steering column. And I can get that part to length, and then I can weld it to that, and then I'll have that part done. And then I can measure how long I need to cut my steering column shaft. So, making progress slowly but surely. Like I said, I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do here for sure. I don't know. I got things in my head, just not 100% sure how I want to do them yet. But I'll let you know how things go as I progress. Alright, there's been a little bit of progress made. Haven't recorded much of it because I kind of forgot. But the steering column itself has been cut to length. The flange that I made has been welded on. And then I'll bolt that whole assembly to that power steering unit. Bearings came in that I ordered. They weren't quite the right size, so I made them work. A little bit redneckery going on, but it's okay. The steering shaft has been cut to length, and it fits in like so. Goes through the bearing, hits the shaft from the power steering unit, and then the steering wheel will go on. Just like so. Now, all I got to do on this end of things is to figure out what I want to do for sure to connect the steering shaft to the shaft coming out of the power steering unit. Still thinking on that one. I'm going to look one more time and see if I can find a coupler unit or something that has splines that match up to the splines on the power steering unit, but so far I have not found anything. But I'll figure that out. I got time, there's no big hurry. I'm still thinking of welding these together like so. Put them on the shaft, weld them together in the middle. Then one side will get this down here where it belongs. Anyway, one side, one half will be on the round rod, and I can drill a hole through, put a bolt through. The other side I can weld to the shaft on the steering gearbox. And then I could, if I wanted to, if I didn't think that was going to be sturdy enough, I could re-sleeve it with this. And then weld on each side of that. I don't know. I'm still thinking. We'll see how things go. But I've made a little bit of progress today. I'm probably going to call it a day. Get some things done in the house. But getting along slowly but surely.